Alright, so I wanted to make a video about my current build in Abyss League. It is a CI Scorching Ray Trickster that stays alive by just evasion, block, and a whole bunch of regen. So let's jump right into it. I'll run the map. I stole this video format exactly from Waggle because he has good ideas, and you should check out his builds and his streams and just do what he does because he's a good PoE player. Right, so we do have a prophecy, but it's gonna be fine. Add some more mobs to the map. So it is just a Scorching Ray Trickster, so it just does damage. You get power charges, you get frenzy charges from being a Trickster, and you stand in place in your channel until everything's affected, and it will die. Build does pretty good damage. I do have a level 21 gem right now, but I was doing stuff with a level 19 gem for the longest time, because I valed my one level 20 and it just de-leveled to 19, which was unfortunate. So in the next pack I will just charge in and not do anything except pop my sulfur flask, and you know, nothing really happens until all the mobs really do gang up on you. So running Enfeeble on Blasphemy, we have a bunch of evasion from Trickster, passive tree scaling, Jade Flask, Stibnite Flask, because Witchfire Brew is still a Stibnite Flask, it will give you the smoke cloud. And it just means that against most regular packs, you can tank for a while, unless there's like 2 or 3 damage mods on the map. So there you go, that is that. Running a bunch of little links that are no different from other Scorching Ray builds. Shield charge for movement. Works really well without too much additional attack speed, just a gem, the Trickster bonus, and I have some attack speed on my weapon. I'll go over my gear in a little bit. And then Orb of Storms to proc Elemental Overload, go over the passive tree, and Elemental Equilibrium as well. So that's the 2-in-1, which you will do on any old Scorching Ray build. And then I have Flame Dash to cross gaps because you need it. And then there's Val Discipline because it is a CI build, and Val Discipline is still really good, and I'll go into why it's really good on this build in a little bit. We're almost done. Just want to go into a pack. If your Elemental Overload is going to go down, you pop your Orb Storms, or if there's a rare and you need to proc it with Elemental Equilibrium, you just do that. It's not that hard. Let's go into boss. Stand in his face and channel. I'll just pop my Stibnite and Sulfur Flask here, and you know, nothing really hurts. You can face tank a lot of things with this build. It'll become clear just why that is in just a moment. So that's that done. We've got 12 left. That'll be enough. So it was pretty quick. It is just a tier 11 Mesa. But let's look at a character sheet for a second. So I have 10,000 ES with OK gear, which I'll go over in a second. The key is in the regen per second, so this is almost at 600. It will go down to about 370 because of the Pantheon. So let's go with the Pantheon first, actually. There is the Soul of Lunaris, so you are going to be charging into packs. It's going to be a bunch of nearby enemies, so you get 8% physical damage reduction, which is nice. And then you are going to be standing still and channeling a whole lot. So there is a Soul of Tukohama. You get up to 8% physical damage reduction and 2% life regen. This may not sound like a lot, but because we are a Trickster and because we have 10,000 base energy shield, which with Zealot's Oath will get your life regen bonuses, this does matter quite a bit. So you get a 572 already. If you pop a Sulfur Flask, which adds another 6%, it goes up to 1,000, about 1,200 with just that. Now on top of that, you're a Trickster, so you get this one, which is 70% increased recovery rate of life, mana, and energy shield if you've killed an enemy recently. So as long as you're clearing things or you're in a boss fight with adds, your actual regen is going to go up to about 2,000 energy shield a second, and that's just a regen. You can stop taking damage and I'll just go up really quickly as well. So what else is important to note here? I have stacked a bunch of faster start of energy shield recharge, and a bunch of energy shield recharge as well, or recharge rate from a bunch of sources. So without the Trickster bonus, your full ES pool will recover in about 2 seconds. which can sound like a lot, but in reality it's a lot shorter than that because of this 70% increased recovery rate as well. On top of that, you know, resists are capped. I am way over capped right now because of how my gear ended up working out. I have +1 max resist from over here, and then I do have 25% block right now, which is, you know, your average. And if you look at the damage for Scorching Ray, it should look on the tooltip actually, it's at 26,500 right now. You know, you don't need this much to map. I was doing tier 14s with a level 19 gem, and I currently have a level 21. So it just, the higher you can get it, the better. But Scorching Ray in a 6 link will do good damage as long as you have Elemental Equilibrium, Elemental Overload, and using the right gems. So you really don't need to worry about damage. I'll go over the passive tree first since it's open right now. So we have a Trickster, Starter Shadow. Just it's a really basic tree. You get I do get this cast speed node, even though I don't really value cast speed because the dex actually helps with gearing. So you just grab the usual damage over time stuff. You grab life regen, damage over time, you know, CI stuff. I do grab Essence Surge. It's only 15% faster start of energy shield recharge, but the 15, 15 and 30% increased recharge rate do really add up. You could just run away from damage for a little bit and you'll be good to go with your full ES pool in no time, which is kind of important for Scorching Ray because, you know, you need to stay alive while the mobs take their time to die. So if we go along, go over to Witch, just get the ES, Flask Effect, some AoE for your cursors. I have a bunch of jewel sockets, but I'll go over those later. I grabbed these mana nodes because otherwise it just gets too tricky with mana on top of this 4% reduced. You don't quite have enough mana regen without getting mana regen on gear, so it's just useful to have these. Then you just get elemental damage, get the burning damage here, jewel sockets, elemental overload, elemental equilibrium, you come down here, bunch of energy shield, life regen, energy socket, jewel socket, and then of course Zealot's Oath. This is what makes you able to actually play CI in this case, because you do not leech from Scorching Ray. And then just these for a little bit more ES. And of course you get two curses, one of which is Blasphemy and Feeble, the other one is from Witchfire Brew. On all of my jewels I did end up prioritizing maximum energy shield and then just resists and burning damage. The burning damage is the best bang you get for your buck because it goes up to 20%, which is more than, you know, any of the other modifiers you would need to get spell damage with shields and stuff. But it's tricky to get those. And yeah, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. End up getting 5 or 6, yeah, 6 jewel sockets, each of which have increased maximum energy shield, so you don't need this many. If you want to get like 8,000 ES, you can just pop all of these out and it's gonna be fine. It's just nice. I wanted to have the 10k, so I stacked it everywhere. So, let's have a look at the gear then. Oh, yeah. Well, I should look at Trickster as well. So we have just the usual Swift Killer for... This is just more damage and attack and cast speed. This is just more damage, and then you want to get Ghost Dance Shade Form. Shade Form gives you a bunch of flat ES, which makes gearing a lot easier. And it gives you a bunch of nice bonuses as well. The attack and cast speed, if recharge started recently, you get more evade chance, and we do use evasion if you're not on full energy shield, which you're not going to be on full energy shield with this build most of the time if you're just playing. And then Ghost Dance gives you faster start of energy shield recharge, and then just nice bonuses as well. At this point I should mention that of course I leveled with Life, Mind over Matter because that's the easiest thing to do. The respec is kind of expensive because I didn't know, this is my starter character, so I didn't know when I'd be able to spec to CI, so I ended up grabbing Weave the Arcane for the interaction it gives with Mind Over Matter, so this is like 10 regrets to unspec this into Shade Form. So if you're making this build while you already have currency, then you don't need to do it, but that's fine. So, talking about the respec, I could only do it if I had the gear. Let's take a look at what we have now. I'll go over the stuff I started out with, basically. So these rings were really cheap. I'll do it like this. Obviously you do get a Stygian Vise. I should prop on Clarity and Discipline, so I do get the full ES pool. Wait for that to recharge. There we go. So this isn't all that much more ES compared to my current gear. It's still about 10k, so it's not a big difference. This was pretty much, it was fairly cheap. So on your chest, I think you want to prioritize a 6-link over more ES. I'll state that first because Scorching Ray just gets better and better with every linked gem. Coloring on a CI chest is really easy, you just need 2 off colors. It takes like 20 chromes if you're unlucky, so CI chests are really cheap right now. 500 ES, this was 100 chaos. You can get them for 60 if you're on the low end, so just get a 6-link, it's going to save you so much trouble. I used Chiula to be immune to stun because you need to be able to channel your Scorching Ray, so get Chiula. The rings, they both need strength in this case, just because of the way I'm doing the build. If you don't want to level Fortify, you don't want to level Increase Duration, then you need a bunch less strength. You only need about 70 for increased burning damage. So yeah, just get ES, strength, and resists on the rings. And if you can, if you have an open prefix, you can craft faster start of energy shield recharge with the Gladiator's Workbench. You need level 3 Leo for this. So this does actually help. You can no longer craft increased maximum energy shield on rings, but you can get this. And there's no real other prefixes you need other than ES. Mana is nice, but it's not that important. And if you get 1 roll of elemental damage somewhere, either on your rings or your gloves, that isn't fire, then you can apply elemental equilibrium with your shield charge, which is nice as well. So yeah, this one ring was 2 scours when I bought it a week into the league, and this one was 3 chaos, so these were really cheap to just start out with. Same with the helmet, so 3 chaos, it has a tier 1 int roll, tier 1 lightning roll, and a good energy shield. It's not amazing, but it's good. Shield, this was a really nice find. It has the 6% block chance, so if you run a roomies with this, with flask effect increase, you get about 60% block on top of all the evasion you already have. So if you can get a shield with chance to block, that's fine, otherwise you just get, you know, resists and as much CS as you can get. For boots, I just use Syntrack because it's the easiest way to get a bunch of ES on your boots and have 30% movement speed, and get dex because I do need a fair amount of dexterity. So just get a pair of Syntrack. A perfect roll at this point just costs a chaos, so you can do that. The gloves are a little bit more expensive because you do want to get another dexterity roll on these, and that can get quite pricey. I think it was only 15C though. So you can, it depends on how much you want. The belt that I started out with was really cheap as well, so it was about 3 chaos because no one's playing CI right now. And finally, for the weapon, you can use a Doriani's Catalyst, but I ended up just getting a Rare Scepter because it had more attack speed. And you're looking at like 130% increased elemental damage, or burning damage, or whatever. So these can be expensive, but just get just get what you can afford. So I'll make sure to equip my other gear right now, because otherwise I'll forget. Ended up crafting another shield. I was trying to get a % ES gained on block, but I ended up just getting a lot of resists and fire damage, so you know, it's not worth rolling over at this point. Okay, so that's it for the gear basically. And I want to say that I've been surprised at just how effective all of the defenses are. With Stibnite and Jade up, you get these 2 buttons. You get 21,000 evasion, which is about 58% chance to evade, and if you're not on the full energy shield, that 58% gets multiplied by 1.2. So that gives you about 70% chance to evade if you're not on the full energy shield. Most Abyss monsters you can face tank with this. There's a few you need to be worried about if there's 2 damage mods on the map, but you can just stand there, and as long as you have your flasks, you can stand there, you will block, evade, and just regen all of the damage. And if you can't regen, then you pop Foul Discipline and you're immortal for 5.3 seconds, because this regenerates about 7,000 energy shield a second on top of your regen. So as long as you're careful with Foul Discipline, you're not gonna die. So yeah, that's basically the build. So CI is not dead, despite what the memes will tell you. You can definitely still make it work, and the gear is pretty cheap on the lower end, so yeah. I'd say if you're interested, feel free to give it a try. And I find it quite fun.